Hello.
It's all about Ghanaian languages. It's all about Ghanaian languages. It's all about Ghanaian languages.
Hello, welcome once again to Discover Guan's with Hunia. And today, the topic we shall be focusing on was a topic that I really wanted to touch on the 21st of February, that's the International Mother Languages Day. But for a certain reason, I decided to hold on. And now we are stuck at the Janek Lodge, and I'm meeting with a native Ahanta speaker to take his opinion on this topic and the way forward. As you can all see in the title, the Ahanta language, the way forward. Why is Ahanta going extinct? Why is Ahanta dying? Why is Ahanta not being passed down? Can Ahantes pass down their language? This is what we're going to talk about. And we are using this medium to reach out to Ahantes. But then, before we go on, there's more about the Ahanta people in my book, Know Ghana Better. And I shall bring this up at the end of the video. Yes, so you can read more from the description box below. So I would introduce our guest once again, Alex Ampong Ackah. Okay. So he's here and I'll hand it over to him. So please, can you introduce yourself once again to our guest and then take it up from there?
Okay, thank you, Honia. Once again, I'm very happy to have this opportunity to talk about a particular language which is dear to my heart. First of all, as you just said, my name is Ampong Ackah Alexander. I was born and bred here in this region, and to be precise, Ahanta West District Municipal, sorry. Ahanta language is a language that I love so much, and I prefer to speak it anywhere I go. And since I have this opportunity to let the whole world know that we have a language called Ahanta, I'm very grateful, and I'm ever ready to give you all the information that you need about my language. Mlawasi.
You, Asidaniho. Now, how do you say Asidaniho in Ahanta?
Aslenike.
Okay, Aslenike. Okay. So let's start this way. You know, I've been here since yesterday, and this is my first time in the Ahanta land. Okay, so as I was coming, I was expecting to be welcome with Ahanta. I was expecting to hear Ahanta everywhere. Now when I came, I got to Takrade, shared the infantin kuti Ahanta no put the manti. Okay, so I was like, oh wow, and I was just there. Okay. I was there, and then someone approached me. As the person approached me, the person was like, "Are you Hunia?" I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "I'm Alex." I was like, "Oh, you're the one." And meanwhile, it was just coincidence because I was planning to call him that I'm coming, but unfortunately, I couldn't because my phone went off. Then I wanted to surprise him because I wanted to get here before I called. I just wanted to think I'm not coming because I told him that he wanted to do it in February through Zoom. But then I decided to surprise him. So all of a sudden, I got here and my phone went off. So the way I wanted to surprise him, it failed me. Then it was like magic. He moved away from, I think, where we are now to Takrade is kilometers away. More, about 10 to 15 kilometers away from Tadi. All of a sudden he was there. He came exactly to where I was sitting. I was like, "Are you Huni?" I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "I'm Alex." So I was even shocked. And I was like, "Oh, interesting." Then we started talking about, and we spoke in Zima, and people were looking at us. I was like, "Hey, this language, or is this a language too?" You know, the reaction, as I watched people reacting, I was like, interesting. This is something worth talking about. Alex, ever since I came here, so far it is you that I realized as you were walking on the streets yesterday, you were trying your best to speak Ahanta with people. Why? Why don't people speak Ahanta? I want to know. Or we all want to know.
Thank you once again. The reasons are too many, and I'm going to just pinpoint one or two reasons why I think the language day in and day out is gradually going down. Now, you see, Takoradi has become a cosmopolitan area, so we have diverse people in Takoradi. You can have the Gans, the Airways, the Dagumbas, the Fulanis, the Enzimens, the Fantis, those from the Cape Coast, the Wosses are here. So it's like we are boxed up with too many people. And with the oil also coming in, you have different kind of people from all walks of life coming into Takoradi. So Takoradi being part of, being Ahanta land, the language is gradually going down. And it all boils down to as the indigenes who sometimes fail to speak the language, even to their younger ones, to their younger generations. If I'm going to continue, when I was a little boy in Apawan, my father used to travel with me to a place called Ehuntumanu, going to Guzia, Butri, going to Duaworozo, Asamko, all those places. When you go there, you hear the typical language of Ahanta. But as the days goes by, now you can see when you go there, you can even hear the snipers of Fanti in it. So gradually, I think we have to change our mentality, because as the Ahanta language is going down, our culture too is going down, because there are so many factors in it. So I think the reason is, one, gradually the foreigners, or let's use the word, the foreigners are gradually taking our language, and we're having diverse people in our.
Now let's take Kumasi. Kumasi is Akan land. There are so many foreigners there, but still the tree is holding. So to me, I think you are hunters, okay? I'm not really, because there are hunters also watching. You are hunters, okay? If Kumasi is Akan land, and there are so many foreigners there, yes, the tree is holding, then it means you are hunters also. You are supposed to help hold the language, because if Takoradi is cosmopolitan, Izima language, Izimans are here, Wasas are here, Enyins are here, all those languages are closely related to Ahanta. Okay, so that means you can still come together and hold your language. Because even at Apuai over here, I walk around the street and it's all fancy. I was walking around the street this morning looking for people to buy. No Ahanta throughout, it's just fancy. Meanwhile, Apuai is supposed to be a typical Ahanta community, right? But I'm hearing fancy. And the whole of yesterday, I read that you are the only person who tried to speak the Ahanta, but the others tried to reject it more. They don't fully reject it, but they speak Ahanta. I hear some fancy. So the question is, like, maybe this is from my perspective. Is it the situation? Do you have the situation where Ahantas speak Fanti with a fellow Ahanta? Is that the situation on the ground?
Like I said earlier on, it's a holistic approach that we as an indigene need to look at it and see how best we can speak the language. One, initially, the place that I was staying, we were all Ahantas, so there's no way you speak the language, you speak any language with that person. But now, the same place, about 4 or 5 people who are there, now that they are Gans, some are Gans and Evers. So if you're going to approach such a person, there's no way you go there with the Ahanta. Definitely, you use the Fanti, the common language, to speak to that person. But I think as an individual, as an indigene, those of us who were born and bred here, I think we shouldn't shy away from our language. We should make sure we should do anything possible just to portray the language anywhere that we find ourselves in it. Because you find someone, you find your fellow indigene and you try to speak the language with him, you expect the person to repeat the same with you, like speaking Ahanta, and the person will try to speak fancy. So I think it's something that we need to look at it and see how best we can promote the language.
Okay. So that means even fellow Ahantas, like I said, you speak Ahanta with them and then they're speaking fancy. So technically they can't hold conversations any longer in Ahanta. And our parents are passing down fancy to children instead of passing down Ahanta.
Yes, like you just said, it's a problem that we need to look at it, because it's a language and it's a culture. So gradually, as generation goes on, we should be able to pass our culture and our language to the next generation. But if you go to some certain homes, you see that those people that, as we were growing up, we saw them or we heard them speaking Ahanta, are now speaking fancy with their grandchildren. Which of course it's an unfortunate situation that we need to look at it. It's another way we need to rewrite our script again when it comes to the Ahanta language. Though the Fantis are here, the Gans are here, the Evers are here,
But at least people should be speaking so that even we, the foreigners, we can even learn your language and take them away and teach people. But if people are not speaking it and we can't, then we pick up fancy instead.
Yes, and it becomes very difficult for anyone to recognize the language Ahanta. But I personally have a problem because right from Beposo going down to Princess Town up to Axin, they are all Ahanta land. But you can see that gradually the foreigners, though we are all Ghanaians, are gradually taking our land. And the government or the individual, the authorities or the political leaders need to, and our chiefs need to do more about it. Because I remember Kwesimintim Ekma was part of Takrady. As they were getting their political share of the districts, I was expecting they would have added Ahanta to their name instead of Efia Kwesimintim. Maybe they could have done it Ahanta Efia Kwesimintim, so that the name Ahanta will be tagged with them. When you go to Shama, when Shama wanted to have their own district, maybe they could have done it Ahanta Shama District Assembly, so that they will add the Ahanta to it. But we couldn't do that as people of the land. I don't want to put the blame solely at the doorstep of our chiefs or the top politicians, but it's something that we could have
done at least to add the Ahanta identity so that people will not shy away from the language.
Yes, and it's something that I think our leaders, if our leaders are watching this program, it is the high time we do something about it. All those districts that they find themselves in Ahanta land, they should add Ahanta to their names, so that if it is Shama, it will be Ahanta Shama District. If it's Ekma, Efia Kwesimintim, it will be Ahanta Efia Kwesimintim. If it is Takrady Metropolis, it will be Ahanta Takrady Metropolis, or Sekendi, Ahanta Sekendi Metropolis. So that one or the other, it will also help in projecting or promoting our language, because gradually Ahanta is dying. We shouldn't lose fact about it. We should recognize the fact that the language is dying. What are we going to do to resurrect that issue that is cropping up? And gradually it's affecting our culture, our festival. Gradually is also dying.
Yeah. Now, from what you said, let me add up. A language, okay, language is the soul of a culture and the soul of a people. Language tells the people who they are. So if the language dies, the culture dies. If the culture dies, festivals are dead. So the different language you've picked up, this thing. Ahantas can speak Fanti though, but at least let the Ahanta also, because the Ahanta dies completely, no. So you Ahantas, okay, or all Ahantas watching, please, from what he's saying, or any leader, perhaps we can look at this. What he's saying is very right, so that we revive the language once again, okay? Even if the language is even dying, at least once they say Ahanta Takrady, Ahanta Princess, Ahanta this, at least the children coming up will be like, wafre Ahanta. Wafre Ahanta. Now Ahanta kasa, no yaba kasa. You see, the children will naturally start asking questions. So they themselves, they will naturally start forcing their grandparents to teach them, and it will help. But if the Ahanta is completely taken off, many may lose their identity and do not even know that they are Ahanta. Because even me myself, honestly, I never knew Takrady was part of Ahanta.
Okay.
In the past, I never knew. It was just recently I got to know. So at least if the Ahanta has been part, I would have known. And many people would have known. Then they would at least, if somebody is even learning Ahanta song, the person will feel okay to learn Ahanta. Because some people might have learned Ahanta somewhere. But because they don't know Takrady is Ahanta, when they come, they'll feel like Takrady because they're Ahanta, Mokan Fanti. But if the Ahanta is part of the community name, at least it will set people that, I'm coming to Ahanta, I'm coming to learn a new language. So if they come and don't even hear people speak the language, then they'll be like, are you Ahanta? Why are you not speaking Ahanta? Even foreigners themselves will naturally query the natives to speak their language. Or because a foreigner, you travel somewhere, you've heard Ahanta, you want to hear a new language. You can't speaking a different language. You'll be like, are you a native here? Why are you not speaking this? So even the foreigners would even query the natives to speak the natives. So it helps. But if we the natives, or if the Ahanta natives are taking it away, the foreigners will also think that this place is not Ahanta, and then nobody will make effort to learn the Ahanta language, or even the natives will not even make any effort to pass down the language. So if you have any other thing to say, I just wanted to.
Yes, I can understand what you are saying, and what I want to say is that we, the younger generation, should do anything possible to bring back our language. I had a friend, and I was chatting with a friend, and the friend said, please say, what can we do in order to bring back our language? Do you know what I said? I told that person that in my house, my little girl, when she needs anything and she doesn't speak Ahanta, she will not get it. So it's a way of her speaking the language, because she knows that if she comes to me and she doesn't speak Ahanta, anything that she wants, I will not get it and I will not give it to her. So gradually, she has learned the language, and if she starts speaking Ahanta here, you will marvel, because one word that she was not born here, but she's now with me, and now she can speak the language. And one thing is that I can see our festival, which is Kundum, is also losing its value. So I'm pleading with the chiefs, the Ahanta Traditional Council, led by Otunfo Nana Bedubunsu, to take a second look at our festival, which is Kundum. Kundum is ours. It's originated from Ahanta, but gradual, I think the enzymes are even watered with Kundum more than the Ahantas, because it has been a long time. Some of the villages in Ahanta, you see, our festival is so unique to the extent that even when there is an issue, or when someone dies in the palace closer to the black stew, we don't celebrate the festival. It's a way of telling or giving a signal to the other world that there's an issue in the palace, so we are not going to celebrate the festival. And it has its own unique way. So I think next time we're going to talk about our festival. So I think these are some of the things that we need to do to resurrect our language, and I think by us doing our bits from individual quarters, I think we can help to regain Ahanta, because I think early this year we had this program which was launched at Twin City Radio, that Ahanta is going to be aired, I think twice or thrice a week in that radio station. They invited the former the member Dr. Okumiando, former Pro-Vice Chancellor of TTU. He stays at Biahon. He was invited, and he's also one of the pioneers who are trying anything possible to resurrect the language.
Okay, so I think, yeah, it's also a way. If the radio is broadcasting Ahanta, it will also help people to listen, and then it will encourage people to learn the language. Because all we want to do, just have the love for the language and do not shy away from speaking it.
Yes.
I'm not a hunter, but I'm advocating for a hunter.
Yes.
Because when I came here, I was expecting to hear hunter everywhere, but I came here and then I'm hearing zero.
But with regards to radio that you said, now we have one or two radio stations in the municipal, which is Radio Ahanta and Uja, and then Voices Around. They are all doing their bits, and Radio Ahanta is a community-based radio station, which of course they do about 95% of their program in Ahanta.
Then that's good.
In Ahanta, and the rest is the 5% is for others who. I think you need to create room for others, and you know Ahanta land is warm, welcoming land, so we gave room for others who don't hear the language to also have a fair share of the program. So I think Radio Ahanta is also doing its bit to protect the language, but the problem lies on the individuals.
Yes.
We need to do anything possible. We need to try our best to project the language.
And to talk of trying best, you give the best example. So you get the best example. Speak it with your children. If they come to ask them they speak fancy, don't give it to them. Okay, that doesn't mean, I'm not saying that like they should never speak fancy. They can speak the fancy, but at least it's a way to encourage them, because as you do that, you call it into them. So when they grow up, they'll also pass it down to their children. So they'll see the essence, okay, of passing Ahanta. So you try to revive the language once again. But if you don't do anything, that is so, you get the best example. Teach your children. You can teach your children fancy, but they need the fancy to outside of the Western region.
To communicate.
To communicate. They need it. But also do it alongside Ahanta. So fancy and Ahanta. But let Ahanta be more, because the fancy they will obviously know it,
yes.
No matter what.
Yes.
It's spoken everywhere. So since the fancy is spoken everywhere, that one, the person that don't know it is 100%. But now at home, do your best to pass down the Ahanta so that your children grow up with two languages native. And when they go to school, they learn the English, making 3. Okay, and then let the children know that then to when they grow, they have to pass down the Ahanta, because otherwise if they don't pass it down, the Ahanta will die. Yes. So they have to do their very best to save the language. Okay, because if this generation is gone, then the next generation, if they don't know anything about the language, then that is it. So it's time Ahantas know this.
Yes, it's true.
So they do their best to pass down the language.
It's time the Ahantas know this. Gradually, we are losing our language as people of Ahanta. We are losing our culture, and we are losing our food. The best food that we eat, the fom that we eat, together with our stew or our the kako stew that we used to eat, we used to enjoy. We are gradually losing it. The other time I was asking a friend, when was the last time you even ate fufu? He said, hey, I can't even remember. Nowadays they don't even pound fom in our houses.
What's
but
fom?
yes, you don't know fom. It's being made by with corn.
It's only a check I know.
Okay, so now you know we have a food called fom. That is our food. That's our indigenous food that we eat in Ahanta. Most of our Ahanta land, that's the food that we used to. Gradually, we don't even see our mothers and our grandmothers pounding it again. But here is the case. It's part of our culture. It's part of our tradition. Our language, our food, the festival, the way we dress, the way we greet. I think gradually it's coming down. And since we've been able to identify the problem, I know with some time to come, gradually it will bounce back, because we never had a radio station that solely speak Ahanta. Now we have Radio Ahanta. We have our almighty Twin City Radio, which of course have a program specially designed or tailor-made for the Ahantas as an individual, as the young ones, are taking a critical, are making an aggressive way to bring the language back. And people have already, like you just said, like using your channel. It won't happen ever anywhere. Someone will use his or a channel just to promote a particular language. But here you are not from this place, but you've seen it or you've thought it wise to chase us and see how best you can also, or use your platform to project the language. So I think we should bring back all those things that we've lost. It's not lost, but it's just like all those things, our culture, our food, our kundum that we used to celebrate. I remember when I was a kid, we used to celebrate kundum. When you go to Adwa, they celebrate the kundum. Apan, they celebrate kundum, kwesimintin, biahon, aguna, kwanta, tumano, izili, akodai. They all celebrate the kundum, but now it seems everything is going down. So we need to make conscious efforts to bring back the language.
So we need conscious efforts to bring back the language, otherwise it will decline. So Ahanta Fue. Yeah, Alex made me understand through a Joy News documentary about the Ahanta Youth Choir, okay, trying to promote the Ahanta language through singing is also a way. Okay, Ahanta songs, there are so many Ahanta songs. You can revive them again if you know them, sing them, teach your children. It's a way of promoting the language. That being said, okay, Joy News has done 2 separate documentaries on the Ahanta language, sensitizing people on the need to speak Ahanta. Okay, I'm not with Joy News, but I follow all this. And I'm just trying to let you know things people are doing. You know, I'm not with Twin City, neither am I with Radio Ahanta, but we feel the need to mention them as he did, because let's recognize the efforts of others. Okay, so if we are mentioning all this, it means we are recognizing the efforts others are making. So that means people are trying their best. So if people are trying their best, then fellow hunters, you people too, you also have to do your better to revive your language. If I, as a Ghan, I'm a native Ghan, I've come here just to talk about your language, just to sensitize you about your own language, then you should do more. I'm a Ghan, but I'm talking about your language. And it means what you should do more. You have more to do. You need to educate your children about your language and revive the language. If Joy News is doing it, Joy News is not owned by an Ahanta. It's owned by a foreigner. But he's also trying his best to educate people about Ahanta. Then what should you also do? So maybe Alexia has more to add up. Then we call it a day. So
thank you once again. Anything that I'm going to say, I want to speak it in Ahanta, because I'm much and I'm more passionate about the language. Biela meti mi skampala mekra as a channel, YouTube channel. Missing Zambi. But I'm busy more your modern. You mean I at the end the new cutting India. I want not Kakrapa. I want not Kakrapa, which Krapa at the end. Bra. Na bawa na mzimu ya wo modene ye bija ndandane na anda so wo yenu ye kundumi ya le medi ye funfumi ya talmeru mosimi isema be mamzimu ya wo de kabla ba wo bla ne sakwa kanda sani ka kropo sakwa fanda fikruga na de kabla na mzimu ya wo na anda wo dumpuni ya msizo bye bye.
Goodbye. And like I said, my book Know Ghana Better. Okay, I spoke about Ahantas. I documented a whole lot about them. You can get it in the description box below. If you want the soft copy, you want the hard copy, you can request for it through my email or my WhatsApp contact. I'll get it to you. It's not only about Ahantas, it's about the entire Ghana. I spoke about so many lost tribes and lost languages in Ghana. Because when a language is lost, an entire culture is dead. let's take the Americas. Now, America has seen the need to revive the Navajo language. It has seen the need to revive the Hawaiian. So now they are pumping money to revive the language because they realize that once the language is gone, the culture is gone. And to not make the country diverse. So when Ahanta is gone, it means a whole culture is going to not make Ghana that diverse. So we need Ahanta to make Ghana diverse. So when it comes to Western, you see a different dressing, different talking, different way of life. You get to Accra, we need all our different languages just to make our country diverse and not monotonous. So without much I say, me labase, me dabase, me dawanase, me danyeshe, me nenengbe, ikpeje nile, wabra, asankushun.
Go.